Hey guys, I'm sure you will notice the change in sound with the audio. After recording the episode, I received this mic and didn't want to have to go back and redo the entire episode. So from this point forward, the audio quality is going to be better. Thanks for listening. This is Kuldrin Script, Episode 1. For November 4th, 2016.
Welcome. Welcome to my dungeon.
Hello, I'm your host, Kuldrin Fire. This is Kuldrin Script, Episode 1. Don't forget to visit us at kuldrinscript.com. We're going to talk about who I am and what this podcast is going to be about. This is just an introduction. As my bio on Spreaker and iTunes says, and I'm just going to take this straight from it. With over 20 years in the BDSM community and the mental health field, I have gained a unique understanding and respect for the alternative lifestyle. As BDSM has become more mainstream, it is important that people become informed and educated about the truth of BDSM, instead of letting inaccurate books and movies shape minds, opinions, and lifestyles in a way that is both incorrect and unhealthy. Myself and guests, from porn stars to pastors, will dive deep into all sides of the lifestyle to paint an accurate, informed, unbiased picture of BDSM and the surprising truth behind the psychology of its participants. To get into my education, I went to Dalton State College in Dalton, Georgia. I studied psychology. I did not complete my education there due to personal reasons. However, I did work in the field on and off for well over 20 years. I've worked in everything from addiction to dementia, the full range of psychological disorders. I worked at an inpatient mental health facility in East Tennessee for several years. I worked there for about 8 or 9 years. And through all of this, it helped me to gain a very deep understanding of the human psyche and the reasons that we do the things that we do. What is our motivation? Well, when it comes to BDSM, that's one of the big things that we're going to get into. We will talk a lot about why we do the things that we do, what encourages us. You know, is it Darwinism? Is it Freudism? What are the things that not just lead us, but in some cases force us to seek out these things? And just how healthy is that for us? These are just a few of the things that we're going to talk about. As far as my personal BDSM experience goes, when I was 18, I met a girl from a neighboring town. She was 22. She grew up in a home that was filled with aspects of the lifestyle. They owned a nudist colony, or a nudist retreat in Florida, and with that, she gained a very interesting understanding from a very young age. Was it healthy or unhealthy? These are things that we will discuss here. I'm not going to get into that right now, but that is definitely a topic. You know, at what age should your children know about the lifestyle that you love and enjoy and that brings you a lot of peace and comfort, or that you absolutely detest, that you find perverse and disgusting, that goes against every moral fiber in your body? So look forward to that. I have several guests already lined up and have conducted a couple of interviews already, but I will be putting those out 1 week at a time. With Makita, was her name. She was heavy into bondage, deep impact, which is exactly what it sounds like if you're not familiar with what deep impact is. It's being hit with objects in various parts of the body in a way that will cause deep tissue bruising if it's done properly. She was also heavily into the vampire scene, which is a very large scene or side of BDSM, and that is another thing that will be discussed is all the different facets from sissification to vampirism, dungeon play, dominance and submission, slaves, the different types of slaves with pets and baby girls and princesses, these types of things. So, which some of those conversations I'm really excited about more than others. So, back to Makita, with her, I was a switch because I didn't know anything. I knew that I enjoyed some pain, and so I was a little bit of a masochist, but I come to find, and she was a switch. She was exactly 50-50 when it came to what she liked to give and receive. So as time went on with us, I came to learn that I was absolutely not a switch, and that was not satisfying her need to administer pain or to be the dominant in the relationship at all. So unfortunately, that had to end, and being young and stupid, I wish I could say that it ended on a positive note, but not so much. That leads me to say that we're also going to talk about at what age is it appropriate for people to start playing with this, and who all experiments. And I don't really like these terms. I don't like it being considered something to play with, though almost everyone does it. If you've ever been making love or having sex, whatever you choose to call it, I'm going to try to keep this podcast at a G rating or PG rating, maybe PG-13 at times. But if you've ever scratched somebody or held them, restricted their movement, pulled their hair, or if these things have happened to you, then you've participated in BDSM. And a lot of people don't realize that. So that is the majority of what we're going to be discussing, getting everyone's points of views. And when I say everyone, I mean people from other walks of life, and also from listeners. Hearing what you have to say. If you want to say, oh, I'm a disgusting pervert, I shouldn't even be talking about this, it's disgusting, it's a sin, I will hear that from you, and that's your opinion. Or if you want to go into detail about a particular experience that you've had, there again, keeping in mind that I'm trying to keep this PG-13, so not profane detail, but if you would like to get into some detail, then I want to hear these things. I'll set up a number that you can call and leave a message. Actually, I've already done that. The phone number is 865-268-4005. I've not put that on the website yet as a call-in to leave a voicemail, but that is a Google Voice number, 865-268-4005. I'll put that on the website, kuldrinscrypt.com. So in talking about BDSM, it's important to define it. I'm well familiar with the definition, but I wanted to look it up to see what the wonderful posters to Wikipedia have to say about it. And they say, BDSM is a variety of often erotic practices or role-playing involving bondage, discipline, dominance and submission, sadomasochism, and other interpersonal dynamics. Given the wide range of practices, some of which may be engaged in by people who do not consider themselves as practicing BDSM, inclusion in the BDSM community or subculture is usually dependent on the self-identification and shared experience. The term BDSM is first recorded in a Usenet post from 1991 and is interpreted as a combination of the abbreviations BD for bondage and discipline, DS for dominance and submission, and SM, sadism and masochism. BDSM is now used as a catch-all phrase covering a wide range of activities, forms of interpersonal relationships, and distinct subcultures. BDSM communities generally welcome anyone with a non-normative streak who identifies with the community. This may include cross-dressers, body modification, enthusiasts, animal role players, rubber fetishists, and others. Activities and relationships within a DS or MS context, remember, DS is dominant and submissive, MS is masochist and sadist, context, are often characterized by the participants taking on complementary but unequal roles. Thus, the idea of informed consent of both the partners becomes essential. The terms submissive and dominant are often used to distinguish these roles. The dominant partner, known as a dom or a dome, some female dominants prefer that, takes psychological control over the submissive. The terms top and bottom are also used. The top is the instigator of an action, while the bottom is the receiver of the action. The two sets of terms are subtly different. For example, someone may choose to act as a bottom to another person, but for example, by being whipped purely recreationally, without any implication of being psychologically dominated by them. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty cut and dry. Just about everybody participates in it in some form or fashion. One of the most interesting interviews that I have, or the two most interesting interviews that I have lined up. I have not done these yet, and I can't wait to get these out because I think you guys will love them. Or I'm going to get a lot of hate mail from it, or both. Is a transgender porn star, and the other interview is a preacher, formerly Southern Baptist, now non-denominational, but associated with the Church of God. And the interesting thing about this, and I wish that I could get them to interview at the same time. That's actually what I'm hoping for, and that's the reason why I haven't performed the interview yet, is because I'm waiting on an answer from one of them about that. But the interesting thing in talking to them and researching for the interview is that they agree on most things. So what are the specifics of that? Well, you'll just have to wait for those particular two interviews to come out. But I am extremely excited. I have posted a couple of sound effects clips just to get everything started as far as iTunes and all that. So if you've listened to those, I appreciate that. I hope that you subscribe to this podcast. It is not going to be anything that is smutty So if that's what you're looking for, I know that there's some